Hello everyone and welcome to this week's behind the scenes devlog video, and this week has been a bit of a disaster so far unfortunately. It's actually already Thursday and I haven't really made any progress on the game so far this week. I'm not really sure why. I think I just burnt out a bit after working pretty much all day every day last week, and then after the devlog video last week a few people pointed out some issues with the main menu, so I wanted to spend some time redoing that as well. One thing that I did actually manage to get done though was that I created a new logo for the game, which took a long time, but I'm actually really happy with this, and I'm now using this in the main menu instead of the header that I showed in the last devlog video. But apart from that, I haven't really made any new progress on the game this week so far, which is a bit annoying, but hopefully I can change that today and finish off the week with a couple of good days of development. First up today, I've been redoing a lot of the code for the entity pop-up GUIs, and the reason for this is that I actually want to have multiple tabs here so that you can click on different tabs to see different information in the GUI. And first up, I've been making sure that all of this info is in its own panel, because previously I was just adding this information straight to the frame, but now I needed it to be in its own panel so that when you click on the tabs, it can very easily switch between panels. It is 12 o'clock and I've now added these two new buttons into the entity pop-up GUIs, and these are going to act like tabs, so clicking on these is going to change the information that's shown in the pop-up. And the first one here, this is going to be the status of the entity, so this will show things like its age, its current health, how happy it is with the environment and stuff like that. And then this one here is going to show the traits of that animal or plant, so these are the genetic traits that it's inherited from its parents and that it will pass on to its offspring. And of course we've still got the information button here, which shows you the general information about that species. Just stopping for some lunch now, and to finish off the morning I got the panels and the tabs working, so you can see here that when I click on the different tabs I can switch between two different panels of information. It is 20 to 4 now, and this afternoon I've been doing a lot of work in the code to distinguish between entity traits and entity status, and I have now done that, so the traits can now be displayed in the separate panel. So you can see here the bounce power trait is being displayed in this panel and everything else is being displayed in the statuses panel. And also I've got the selective breeding option, and all the breeding options are actually going to be going in this traits panel as well. It is 6:15 now, and I've just been redoing the selective breeding switch because I thought that the previous one didn't really suit the style of the GUIs very well, so I've now made it a more square design, which I think fits a little bit better. Next up today, I've made it so that when you click on the selected breeding switch, it now opens up a brand new panel over here to the right, and in this panel you're going to be able to actually modify some of the entity traits by spending DP. To finish off today, I've started work on a new GUI component, which is this here. I think this is usually called a spinner, and it's only half done at the moment, but basically this is going to allow you to increase or decrease the value of a trait. Good morning everyone, it is Friday, and today I'm going to be continuing on with the trait modification stuff and the GUIs for that, and hopefully I'll also have time to start work on a health component for the entities. So this morning I've just been continuing on with my work on the new GUI component, which is this spinner here, and as you can see it is now pretty much functioning as it should be, so you can increase and decrease that percentage value, and that's going to represent the value of a trait. Just about to stop for lunch, and for the whole morning I've just been working on the trait modifiers. So now every trait that an entity has, it has a modifier for it, and this allows you to basically genetically modify your entity, but you have to pay for it. So you can see here's the price in DP, and for small changes the price is pretty reasonable, but as you increase the size of the change you can see that very quickly the price gets very high. It increases exponentially to make sure that you can't change your entities too much too easily. It is 4:45 now, and I've been doing even more work on this trait modifier thing. So now you can see that there's the total displayed in the bottom right, which is a bit useless at the moment because obviously I've only got one trait to modify, but obviously in the future you'll have multiple traits, and then this will give the total price of the modifications. And now when you add a modifier, you can see that there's a tick button here, and clicking on this will actually purchase the modification, and now you can see everything goes white to show that it's been purchased. And also the tick disappears if the price is too expensive, and you can see that the price goes grey as well to indicate that you don't have enough DP for that transaction. So I have now pretty much finished all of this trait modification stuff, and you can see an example of it here with this sheep. So the sheep now have two traits, and you can see that they each have a modifier, and I can modify these traits individually. And I have now made it so that these modifications do actually have an effect on the values of the traits of the offspring of the animal. So for example, when this sheep reproduces, its offspring are going to have 10% added to their bounce power and 15% added to their test trait. So the idea of all of this was to make the selective breeding system a little bit more interesting and easy, because previously it was very dull, long, drawn out and pretty tricky system to use, which wasn't much fun. So the new system is hopefully a little bit easier. It also has more decision making involved. You need to decide whether you're going to increase the traits slowly over multiple generations, which would be cheaper, or whether you're going to do it all in one go, which would be more expensive, and other stuff like that. And it also provides another use for DP, which is something that wasn't really used that much in the game before, apart from in the shops. Obviously, I still need to do some balancing with the costs, and I need to make the GUIs look a little bit nicer and more user-friendly, but the base functionality of this system is now pretty much finished. So now that I've finished work on the selective breeding system for now, I wanted to move on to the other side of the gameplay in Equilinox, which is maintaining the ecosystems. So I've been working on a new health component for all living entities, and the health value is going to be based on a number of different factors. So for example, it will be based on the age of an entity, how happy the entity is with its environment, how well fed the entity is, and other things like that. I haven't completely finished the calculation yet, but it's already kind of based on those factors. And it will be important to keep your entities healthy, because if the entity's health drops too low, then there'll be a chance of them dying out. And also I want to implement disease next week, and the entities with a lower health will have a higher chance of catching a disease, and then disease will be able to spread. It could end up killing off lots of your animals and plants. It will be quite expensive to cure, and so obviously you want to keep your entities as healthy as possible to lower the chance of that happening. Also, when your entities are healthier, they'll be producing more DP per minute. They'll also be breeding more, so it will be easier to selectively breed them. And I'll probably add in some other benefits. So for example, fruit trees might produce more fruit when they're healthier and other stuff like that. So that is going to be it for development on Equilinox this week. For the rest of the week, I just need to edit this week's behind the scenes devlog video and also do this week's tutorial. Sorry about missing last week's tutorial, by the way. I'm hopefully going to make up for it by making an extra tutorial next week, and this week's tutorial will be out as soon as I finish it, which will hopefully be on Sunday evening, but if not, it will be out on Monday evening for definite this time. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time.